because I have never done this before. And a lot of people lately have been asking me about LinkedIn live shows. And I did a webinar on them. And I was talking about doing, LinkedIn lives. The only way I knew how to stream anywhere was using StreamYard. So, it'd be private. Weird. Okay. Well, hopefully it's streaming live. In any case, I'm recording it. I will work on this later. So, since we're going to be putting this up on the podcast, and I want to give everybody the opportunity to be on the podcast, if they so choose, I'd like to give everybody a chance to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about what you do. If you'd like to, raise your hand. If not, then you don't need to. Okay, Sarah, go jump right into it.
If you don't mind that I'm off camera. Hi, I'm Sarah Tim. I'm a professional resume writer in Colorado Springs. I moved here from Dallas, Fort Worth about 2.5, almost 3 years ago. And I own Dallas Resume, DFW Resume, and Colorado Resume now. I deliver resumes for professionals, advancing professionals, federal resume workers, and I align LinkedIn profiles with that. Back to you, Annette.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And I'm Annette Richmond. And okay, Linda, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Linda Brubaker. And Sarah, you and I are in somewhat similar fields. I don't just concentrate on resumes. What I do is a lot of more of the career search or the job search coaching. And I focus in on people who are trying to either make a career change, or they've decided that they want to make a move either in or from one company to another or within their own companies. My sweet spot is probably the people who are either returning to work and they'd worked before, and they want to return back to their professional level jobs, or those people who are trying to make that move in that professional arena.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And thanks for being here with me this morning. I know the holidays are a busy time of the year. So, what shall we talk about? I do want to mention we have an unlisted group. Sarah, I think you're in that. I don't know if I gave you, Linda, the link, but I will put it in the chat so we can all be on there together and this will appear. And just to let you know, I have checked and we are actually streaming live to YouTube. So big excitement for me today for that. So, anybody have any questions that we can open for discussion? I'm here and we also have Brenda here, and I know we can all share experiences together. So, any suggestions for a topic, or we can jump right into like maybe videos?
Videos would be my big thing. As you can see, I'm still not comfortable on video. I'm not camera ready right now. I have to be later this afternoon for an interview I'm doing, and I get tongue-tied. Even as a Toastmaster, my mind goes blank. I can't think of what I want to say. Do you have any tips beyond Toastmasters, what they give me? Because video is a little different than doing it live. And so do you have any tips that can help me get through that this afternoon?
So I will have Brenda, if she would be so kind, to speak to Toastmasters, because I know she is a Toastmaster as well. But I would just say that for me, it was the more I did it, the more I relaxed. And for me, it was just doing videos over and over again. When I look at some of my older videos, I kind of cringe, but one of the things that I do before I start doing videos, sometimes if I'm not quite feeling it, is I do a little dancing around my house. Right now, Levitate is my favorite song for that. But honestly, I say it's doing it over and over and over again, because after a while, I would say after maybe a dozen at the most, you just get used to it and you don't think about it anymore. So Brenda, I see you're smiling. So I know you have some tips. And if you want to talk about Toastmasters, I would be interested in that as well.
I'm gonna unmute myself. I'm running around here. I want to make sure I understand the question because I walked back into the room as Sarah was asking the question. Sarah, is the question how to get more comfortable introducing yourself on video, or what was the question?
Yeah, just being more comfortable on video. My mind goes blank sometimes. I have a prepared speech when I'm in Toastmasters, so I know what I'm going to say. I've practiced it, but then I'm not so good at the table topics, when I have to speak impromptu and come up with something, and my mind kind of goes blank, and it just gets uncomfortable. There's this pause, and I feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, I hear you. I honestly, I just through Toastmasters, I've just learned, I'm going to echo exactly what Annette said. I think it's just experience and practice. And when I was in Toastmasters, I always just tell people, when you do table topics, you're going to flex that little muscle in your brain. I mean, when you hear me say this, you'll get it. The little muscle in your brain that focuses on impromptu thinking, and we use it all the time, but we don't practice using it. And table topics forces us to practice using it. Now, one of the keys to table topics is you don't really have to answer the question. So,
Right.
for example, you get asked a table topics that says, what was one of the most embarrassing moments when you were growing up? And maybe you can't think of anything, or you think of something that you don't want to share. The goal for a table topics is to talk for 1 to 2 minutes. It doesn't matter what you say. You could just say, wow, that's a really interesting question about the most embarrassing thing when I was growing up. It reminds me of the other day I was at a grocery store and I saw a mom with a child, and the child was having a temper tantrum, and the little brother was trying to entertain the child in the cart. And I looked in the cart and the mom had bought X, Y, and Z. And it reminded me I needed to get butternut squash too. So I ended up going back to the vegetable aisle. And while I was there, they had these beautiful strawberries and they were on sale, which is really unseasonable for this. So I'm talking and I'm using the clock. And then I get to the end of the 1 to 2 minutes, or if you use the light system in Toastmasters, they put the light on or the green
Right.
card on. Once the green light or the green card goes up, then you just bring it back. So to summarize, I really think that was an interesting question that you asked about one of the embarrassing moments for me as a child. And it really made me reflect upon the other day at the grocery store. And then
I love that.
end of the table topics, don't you say, Mr. Table Topics Master, like you turn the floor back over to them
Right.
and you step out. So does that
I
help you?
love that. Thank you. That's a great idea.
Yeah, I love that too. It makes me think though. I was listening to a couple of sort of communication coaches that I know, some of them I follow. One of them, I'm having actually, I mean, we all know Jillian, but I'm having this woman, Susie Ashfield. She's going to be on my show in the February 1st, I think. And I met her on TikTok. She's over in London. So I'm very excited to have her here. And one of the things that she has posted about and talked about a lot is that people aren't afraid. What they're afraid of is being judged, and that's what makes people sort of, have their mind go blank, because they're afraid that people are going to be judging them. And that is foremost in their mind. And that's what, makes them stumble, because they're worried about being judged. And it's really more the fear of being judged than anything else that keeps people. And I see, Linda, you are nodding, so I'm guessing you agree.
I absolutely do. I think that a lot of people are concerned about that. It's hard for all of us to get over it. The idea that you're really just trying to put it out there, and if they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't.
Okay. I would agree with that. And, one of the things I know, I know we're talking about video, but it also makes me think of networking, and people are nervous to go to networking because they're, talking to strangers and they get nervous about that. And I find the more that I do that, I mean, I talk to people at the grocery store, much to my husband's embarrassment. If I'm Trader Joe's and I see somebody have something in their cart that I was thinking about, I'll start talking to them about it. Is it good? Do you like it? Blah, blah, blah. And, for me, it was bartending that got me comfortable talking to anyone. But so what do you think? I know you've been doing videos, Sarah. Are you sharing them, or are you just kind of looking at them yourself for now?
I'm looking at them myself for now. I'm planning on doing a bunch of them in probably next week, at the end of next week, and seeing what I can pull out of there. I'm getting a better microphone so that it sounds better, because that was the biggest problem. I looked okay, things came out okay, the sound was terrible. So I will be working on that next week, because I do want to launch a bunch of videos in the beginning of next year.
Yeah, I like videos too. I'm doing that 12 days of content right now. And for me, and I think you would find this as well. The more you do video, the easier you will find it, and you may lean more into doing video because because you're more comfortable with it. Like, it's easier for me to do a quick video than to sit down and write something.
That's what I'm hoping. I want to be in Annette.
Well,
Me too.
well, okay. So, but also that I have found, and I've heard from other people, that although it sounds really counterintuitive, doing LinkedIn Lives is a great way to sort of get into doing video and making it easier. And I know for me, if I've done one or two LinkedIn Lives alone, and I get a little flustered, but when you're in the studio talking to another person, that you don't think about being on video, and yet there you are, and you get used to it. So
Yeah, I've been doing group meetings for a long time, and video, it's a video, but I don't necessarily record it. I've just started recording them. So
uh-huh.
I'm comfortable doing those group meetings, but it's those individual ones that are still intimidating. Especially, I don't have the extra setup, so I'm just doing them on my phone, or I'm doing them from my camera on the laptop. Sound recording isn't great, perhaps, Sarah. The camera may not be as great, but my feeling was, if I don't start doing them and I keep waiting, I'm never going to get it out there.
The thing
Yeah.
about doing it on your phone, though. I'm sorry, go ahead, Sarah.
I was just agreeing with Linda. If I don't start getting them the way that I want them, and not perfect, but done, and get them out, I'm just going to keep flailing, and I need to do it because I want to do it.
Well, we all know that perfect is the enemy of done. So you get over that. But I have to tell you too that as far as talking about like a setup for doing videos, I record all of my short form videos on my phone. And I was told, Sarah and I actually were at a conference recently, and there was a man taking a photographer hired to take pictures, and he told me that he got better pictures on his phone than he did, with his big camera setup. But I all you need is your phone. I mean, I think the phone is the best thing, although, and there are inexpensive, labs that you can get to make the sound better. But, most of the people that I know that do them on their phone, they just do them on their phone with nothing. And, one of the things, and I was talking about this on a video yesterday, and Brenda actually responded to me about the idea that when you're putting something out on LinkedIn, like a video or whatever, hardly anybody's really going to see it. And I tell this to my husband all the time. If he's posting something and he posts it and he thinks that, oh, I'm posting on LinkedIn, everybody's going to see it, because only a very small percentage of people are actually going to see whatever you put out there. And so, that's a good thing to think of. And, if you put video on LinkedIn and you tag me, if you tag any of us, I'm sure we would be happy to, or just mention to us, we would be happy to come over and give you some love and support.
Thanks. I think the hardest thing is just trying to remember that when you're doing these, for me at least, if I keep obsessing about whether or not it's good and trying to re-record, it's that over-analysis paralysis. And I think that's what I meant when I said earlier, I'm doing it for me. I want to do it for you. But I have to do it with the sense of I'm trying to get the message out, rather than, is everybody going to like it, or am I making a fool of myself? Does that make any sense?
Well, I mean, it does to me. I've talked about this. I put off doing video for years and years and years. I wanted to be thinner mostly. I always wanted to be younger, and it just, once I started doing it, I just got over it. And it's funny because when I first started doing a lot of the short form videos. I actually worked with a video coach for a while. I don't know if he's still Nick Rayburn, who you may know from LinkedIn. I did some video coaching with him, and he helped me kind of get over myself, and get just the idea of having fun with what you're doing. But one of the things that I do, if you want to add some stuff, Brenda, you can come on camera or not. I'd love to hear some tips from you if you're willing to share. Is that I record the short form videos. I record them one line at a time. So I use clips just because I'm most familiar with it. But there's clips and there's CapCut. Do you have an iPhone, Linda? Okay, so you can have clips. It's free. And you can record, edit, and caption all in the same, in that app. And, I record one line at a time. So if I make a mistake, I can just re-record it and then just edit those little clips together. And that, and I script it as well so that I have the lines. Most of the time I have the lines in front of me, or at least the talking points in front of me. And I do one line at a time. So you might want to try that.
I always love the tips. Thank you, Annette.
No, it was something that, excuse me, actually that Nick taught me. So, and I do know for me, that clips is very, very intuitive. It's very user-friendly because I am not a techie at all. When my husband tried to teach me HTML before we had WordPress and all that, I actually cried, but like tears crying because I just couldn't do it. And then there's also CapCut, which is if you are going to put anything on TikTok, it's owned by the same company. So all the editing and recording is virtually the same. So if you practice on one, you can do it on another.
Thank you.
Have you been so what have you been doing that too, right, Sarah? Oh, okay, maybe she's gone.
I'm on mute. Yes, I have been doing that, and I think that it makes for a better video when you put those clips together because it gives like some movement and some I don't know how to explain it, but I think that when I watch videos, I like those that have those little clips put together, not when they're speaking right through. So, and it does help with the scripts, yes.
And maybe if you do something something more casual, I've been doing them on not always in front of the camera. And I'll just share one other thing if you want to start. What's your purpose of doing videos? Is it to be on like social media, or are they for LinkedIn? Linda, where do you want to share them?
I want to bring Sarah Says live. I want it to be me speaking, add credibility, take it live. That's the goal. I want to spread the word. I want everybody to be a better resume writer or find a better resume writer.
So Sarah, just because I think that's a really cool idea, the whole graphics, and tell us a little bit about, because I don't know if Linda or Brenda has seen your Sarah Says, but I think it's a great branding thing. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. She was born a little over a year ago after the National Resume Writers Conference in 2022. And I had attended a conference session that had talked about how visual people were and that's the way to get your message out. And thinking about that, the day after I came home, I sat down and I created Sarah Says. And the purpose of Sarah Says is to help people who don't need a resume writer, who can do it themselves, do a better job with their resume, and then to attract those people who are looking for a resume writer, building credibility that I know what I'm talking about. I'm consistent in evolving in the resume field. I love to mentor new resume writers and just bring that to the forefront so that people have an option when it comes to resume writing. It's my passion to spread the word about what makes a great resume. You know me, I'm not into
I do.
all the other stuff.
I
It's
do.
about resumes.
So, but what I wanted to mention is Sarah created a graphic. So, because I talk about that too, because a lot of times we see on LinkedIn and other places graphics where, it's a famous quote like be the change you wish to see in the world or something like that. And that's what people share on various social media platforms. And one thing that I learned actually from taking a training a couple of years ago is to why should I be sharing, if I'm doing that, sharing somebody else's quotes when I can share my own? And so I did create a few graphics like that, but that's what Sarah does. She has her a Sarah like avatar that she created on Canva. She has a Sarah avatar, and everything that she puts out there is Sarah, Sarah Says, which is obviously perfect for Sarah Says, for Sarah, but Sarah Says with her stuff on it, but she uses the avatar on all of these graphics that she does. So it's really been, I would think a really good branding technique.
Thank you.
So, all righty then. So, I'm sorry.
No, go right ahead.
Okay.
I have to go look for it.
Yeah, it's really I think it's really clever. It looks very much like her. I know she created all that stuff, I think, in Canva, which, I think we hear all use, all the time. And it's a great branding thing, I think. So moving on. So any particular content that you're interested in talking about, Linda?
Having been a corporate employee or for a long time, getting into this kind of a medium on my own is relatively new for me because it was not part of the process or even encouraged in my last role. So I'm still learning all of this. And one of the things I'm trying to do is give myself permission to fail. So if it doesn't work right, I'm not worried about it. I will just try and re-report it. But I'm looking to pick up as many tips and tricks as I can from everybody.
So somebody was about to speak. Nope. Okay. I just don't want to interrupt anybody. So, I think we all feel that way. But one of the things about, I would say, LinkedIn in particular, and I post on various platforms, and sometimes nobody comments or nobody says anything, but the more you do it, and your purpose, I believe, is to get your message out. And one of the things that I have learned from LinkedIn coaches and other content creators is that there are so many people that are out there. And I know some, the phrase that was used a lot is lurkers, which I don't like. I like the idea of being learners or listeners. And I have gotten contacted from people I've never heard from them. They've never commented on anything. They've never even, I'm not aware of them. But you are helping a lot. Readers. Okay. Yes. Readers. And Brenda's that shared that with us. Readers. That I like that too. Readers, learners. And those are people that they're there and they're getting information from you. And it's, you are helping them, even if you don't realize it. They're out there. And so, I try to think about it like that because I don't have a huge following and I don't, get tons of, different engagement on many of my posts, but, I just keep putting it out there. And if you are really, you're doing it to put it out there to help people, then, that should take the onus off of you. And one thing that I want to mention too, that I learned years ago from a presentation coach when I was, at an event, and she was talking, someone who helped people become speakers. And she said, this has always stayed with me, that, when you're doing a presentation, when you're doing a video, when you're doing anything, people don't care what you look like. They don't care what you sound like, because I hate my voice and I don't care for my face on video either. All they care about is the message. And is it relative to them? And if it's relative to them, then that's all that's important.
And my goal is to provide information. I have a harder time selling than I do anything else. So it's to just really to give the information, to share what I know, to give some tips and tricks. And hopefully people will come back to me because of that, the same way that Sarah's trying to do. But if I can provide some information that's useful to somebody, that's really what my goal is.
Well, I am with you on that 100%. I have friends, very successful, who are very good salespeople, and they're very much sharing information, but they're very much about the pitch and the offer, and now's the time. And whenever they do any type, I mean, I don't want to share any names, but whenever they do any type of presentation, it's always sell. And that works for some people, it works for some people. I tried that a couple of times. It didn't work for me. So, I think we have to do what we're most comfortable with, but
Yeah, that doesn't work for me either. And I can't sell anything but a resume, federal resume, LinkedIn profile. Anything else, I wouldn't be able to sell. The only reason I can sell it is because I know it so well.
Right.
Now I'm just checking over here. So excited. I'm so excited that it's streaming live. So, so what, I'm trying to think of another,
So, Annette, can I ask you a question about the streaming live?
Of course.
Okay. So I actually just set up a YouTube channel, still playing with it and all the rest of it. But I did it because it was a way of sharing the recordings that I do of the group sessions for Lunch and Learn. It says that you can edit a YouTube video, and I don't know how to do that. I'm not even sure whether it's useful. I'm just putting them out there raw, but I'm putting them out. Yeah.
So you're talking about YouTube Studio, and I will be honest with you, I don't use YouTube Studio. So I don't know how to edit on there, but why do you say that you're putting them out wrong?
Raw, R-A-W.
Oh, raw. Okay, I thought you said you're putting them up.
No.
Yeah.
As in, if I'm going to edit it, I'm going to edit it before I put it out there. But most of the time, especially if I'm thinking about doing the YouTube live as well. But if you're doing that, there's no way to edit it as it goes out.
And that I think is part of the reason that doing a live show makes it easier, because you do what you do and you're done. But what I do, I use Camtasia. So if I'm recording a video and I want to, if I'm just recording it and I'm not streaming it and I want to edit it, that's the platform that I am most comfortable with, because I've been using it for a really long time. And it's kind of a workhorse. I edit my podcasts in there. I record them someplace else, but if I have to edit them, it's a place where I go to drop in my intros and outros. And that's been around forever. I know that you can use Clipchamp, I believe, is one that you can use on your phone, and they also have a desktop option. There's platforms like Descript where you can edit. I'm not familiar with YouTube video. I think there may be easier ways. I don't know if anyone else could share like a platform that for editing video that's easy.
I think my question was really whether or not I should. If I'm putting it out there
Oh,
one way or another, okay.
yeah. I mean, look, I've been doing LinkedIn Live since 2021, before when you still had to apply to do the LinkedIn Live shows. And they go up there and they are raw and they are what they are. And I think that's the beauty of a live, and I always put live in my description, is that it is what it is. Look, we watch TV. My husband and I are kind of news junkies. And what do you see? We see everything happen on live news shows, dogs walking by, kids coming in, all kinds of stuff going on. And I think viewers are even more forgiving when it comes to watching a live show, although I think viewers in general are pretty forgiving anyway. They're only interested in the content.
Thank you.
And any thoughts on that, Brenda? I hate to pick on you, but you're here, and I know that you can, talk about this if you want to share anything, even off camera. Nope. Okay. Oh, there she is.
Sorry, are you talking about editing and live video, or what was the
No,
question?
we're talking about the idea that when you put up lives, Linda said that her thing is putting it up raw. Is that not the best? That's the question, right, Linda?
Right.
Yeah, I think it's authentic that way, and if you make mistakes, I mean, you see me do it all the time, Linda. If I make a mistake, I tell people it wasn't a mistake, it was a learning experience, and here's what I learned, and this is what I did. And I think the important thing is that if you're going live, people know that it is unscripted, it's not going to be polished, there's going to be some hiccups and things that happen. But if you let them know when it's doing it, and then I do the same thing that you're doing when I first was doing the live stream. Or like, okay, it's kind of awkward. You get a code, you got to read, and I'll like narrate what's happening as I'm doing it. And I read this once that women are actually better at multitasking than men. And I don't know if it's like years of balancing the baby on the hip while doing the dishes and working and everything. But
Mhm.
at any rate, we can we can get the YouTube running in the background and explain to people this is happening, and while we're waiting, and I always like have a couple like while I'm waiting, type of things running in my head. So if you have some hiccups and things that are occurring, just run through the regular like run of show reminder. So reminder to everyone, if you have any questions to ask, raise your hand right now. We'll get to you next. And the other thing I do as a live host is sometimes if I find that there are lulls in the conversation, nobody's raising your hand, nobody asks questions, I have to have like in my back pocket, like 3 or 4 topics related to the talk of the day that I could kind of pull out and go with it. Just to kind of keep things flowing, keep people engaged on it. But I really honestly don't do any editing after the live video published. What I started doing though is the group coaching calls that I'm doing, at least the ones I'm doing right now, they're live streaming on YouTube, and then we're starting to pull those down and publish them to a podcast. So my intern helps with this. We read the podcast transcript through, we're using Descript, so you kind of read through it. And if there's any hiccups that happen in the beginning or at the end, we take them out. For the most part, we don't do any editing. We just publish it as it is. And you know who's really good at it? Jillian Whitney. Does she do like, I think she does, I don't know how she does it. She'll do live stream in the morning. By the afternoon, it's up on the podcast. And I'm like, she do that so fast? I don't know. Does she do it automatically? Or?
Well, she does have help doing that. So
Okay, but
yeah,
it's fast though, because it's literally
yeah,
like 9 o'clock in the morning, and by
yep.
3, 4 in the afternoon, it's already on the podcast, published with show notes and artwork. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I'm fast, but that was fast.
Yeah, no, well, she does have a business partner who does do some of that stuff. So
Okay.
I will say that. But yeah, yeah, she is very, very good at that and very, very quick.
Yeah.
But I think the same thing about the live shows. I mean, they are what they are, and people are aware of that. And one of the things that I actually started doing, because I know, I use Buzzsprout, and I know, Brenda, you use that too as your podcast hosting platform. And they have something now where you can have it automatically. You pay a little extra, but it will do the transcript and automatically publish it immediately. And so I have started utilizing that because to me, in my mind, the transcript is basically for SEO for my podcast and not necessarily anybody that's going to be sitting down and reading it. So I used to, for a while, I used to also put my audio through something and get a transcript, and then I would publish that, but it was just too much work for me. So I stopped doing it. And then when they started offering this, I kind of jumped on it because for me, it was worth like the extra, I think it's $10 a month. So every time I upload, my audio content, it automatically does that. And then I see, Brenda, you put Camtasia in the chat that, I think it was kind of stodgy there for a while, but in the last couple of years, they've really picked up. And you do have to pay for the software. But one of the things I will say about them is they have a great library of how to do stuff. So, that can be really helpful. But I believe you can edit into script, you can edit and you get obviously the transcript there. And that's an online platform. But, Camtasia is more something that lives on your computer.
Thank you.
So, yes, I love the idea of having some idea in my back pocket. And that's where I started talking about the video, and I ran out a little bit out of steam on that. But one of the things I'm curious about when it comes to doing content, as far as like content marketing, and one of the things that I found for me is to do stuff that I like and that's easier for me. And so, while I think video is really, really important, for people that are uncomfortable, it might not be the thing. But I'm curious to how many people are using AI like ChatGPT right now?
I'm not a big fan of AI, but the last group session that I did for my Lunch and Learn, I did an AI summary
Okay.
of the Zoom. And it was incredibly accurate, but very long. It turned out to be like 4 pages long for an hour-long program.
Wow.
Okay, if I put it into a PDF. What I did like, though, is that it does summarize it. I think next time, instead of just using theirs, I'm going to use that as a way of generating my own summary, if people find that useful, because otherwise it's just word after word after word.
So is anybody else using ChatGPT? Because I use that, I would say, almost daily.
Really?
I do use it. I use it also almost daily. It gives me ideas. It gives me synonyms. I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought. I don't have word writer's gap anymore. What do you call that?
Writer's block?
Yes, thank you. Oh my gosh. See what happens to me?
Well, I mean, I use it for the same thing. I use it for doing summaries and giving me ideas. Or if I'm going to do a presentation, I'll say I want to talk about this, this, and this. Give me outline the slides for me and have it do something like that. But I also use it a lot to summarize, and I will put content in there and just say, give me like, one paragraph that's the overview and give me bulleted, takeaways or something underneath it. And so I find that it can be really helpful like that. Personally, I think the mistake that people make is that they have it write things and they just take that content unedited by them
Yes.
and put it up there because
Agreed.
I feel like I'm a pretty good writer. I used to be a magazine writer and I do enjoy it, but I am not a good copywriter. I am a very bad copywriter. And so I will have ChatGPT write sales copy for me. I'll give them the copy and have them do it, sales copy. But then I often have to tell them, pull it back a little bit. because I wouldn't say this and I want it to sound like me. So I do often, play around with it and go back and forth with it. But I use it all the time, and I just find it really, really helpful for that. I have actually even taken content that I receive from clients that I'm trying to pour through and put it in there to have it give me, sort of bullets of the content, because it makes it easier for me and saves me a little bit of time. See, our dog Katie agrees with me. I don't know how your Pepper is not ever barking when you're on on Zoom, because they always have to bark and yell when I'm on. They feel like this is a party for them.
You want to hear something crazy, Annette? I don't know what
Yeah.
microphone you're using. I'm using, this one's called the Samsung 2QU microphone or something like that, but it's got like noise canceling, noise background reduction. And the only reason I know that it works as good as it did, one day I baked a pie and did a LinkedIn Live,
Yeah,
and
I saw that.
and did you, I mean,
I
when I was
did.
doing it, you couldn't really hear the blender or the food processor at all. And it was like literally a foot and a half from my microphone.
Wow.
And I kept apologizing. I'm like, I'm sorry that's so loud. And then I was watching the playback and you couldn't even hear it. It was like
No.
that good.
Well, I looked at some noise canceling software, but it was kind of weird. I use a Blue Yeti, and it's usually pretty good about that. It doesn't pick up as much um of the background noise, but I think there's also things that you can get to put on it. And I am actually thinking about ways to close my door and like soundproof the door, because if I put them outside the door, they will cry, and sometimes it can be really loud. But, I guess that's just because they agree with me and they love me. So, well, I one thing that I was going to say something, and of course it went like right out of my head about speaking, something about the idea of not worrying about, people judging you, but it has escaped me, so I will forget that.
Can I ask
Um,
another question?
yeah, that's why we're here.
Okay, so you started out by saying that you were trying to do more LinkedIn Lives on video, or thinking about how do you stream to LinkedIn Live? So you were using one platform to stream Zoom to LinkedIn Live. Did I misremember that?
So yes, so when you can do that, you can just stream from Zoom to LinkedIn Live, to LinkedIn, to do a LinkedIn Live. I have no idea how to do that. I use a platform called StreamYard, and there when you go to set up a LinkedIn Live, if you decide you wanted to do those, there are I believe it's 5 sort of preferred partners. StreamYard is one of them. Restream is another one. Most of the people that I know use either StreamYard or Restream. I chose Restream because it's very user friendly. And from StreamYard, I stream to LinkedIn, YouTube, my Facebook business page. You can stream to Twitter and a bunch of other, platforms if you want. So that's what I use for my streaming video. I also like it because you can just go in the studio and just record, or you can do a webinar. I think Brenda mentioned something about her live-a-thon that she's doing, that she may do it, I believe, in StreamYard as a webinar. So you can do it without streaming it if you want to do something private. Because one thing I know with the LinkedIn live streaming, you used to be able to have it private. You could have, stream, I guess, to a private group, or have the link. I'm not sure how it worked because I never did that, but they discontinued that. I don't know, in the last couple of years. So if you do stream, obviously it's public and it is what it is. But I use StreamYard, and StreamYard is for me it's like $25 a month, I think, is the basic but you can also try it for free. You can use StreamYard for free. You can use Restream. They also have a free option. So if you want to try it, and see if you like it before you sign up, I know you can use either of those platforms. If you have Zoom, if you go to, you can get directions from LinkedIn on how to use Zoom to do lives. I know some people do it, but frankly, I just don't know how.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for asking a question. So, well, we are like just about to the end here. I do want to put our LinkedIn. You're in the LinkedIn? Everybody here, I think, is in the LinkedIn group already. So, okay, so I don't need to put the link in the chat, but I thank you so much for being here. We're right at the end. Anybody want to share anything before we kind of say goodbye here?
Thanks so much, Annette. This was great. I really enjoyed it. Learned some things, got some great tips. Worked out well. Thank you for
Me too.
inviting
Thank
me.
you very much for sharing your expertise.
Yeah, happy Hanukkah and Merry Christmas, Annette. Thank you so much.
Me too. Me too. Thank you for coming, Brenda and Linda and Sarah. Have a great, oh my gosh, Hanukkah's over. Christmas is next week. So I know, I can't believe it. All right. Well, thank you so much. And I will be putting the recording of this in the group, and I will let you know when it goes up on the